Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It's Tuesday, July 2nd, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions and also to provide you with some entertainment. And part and parcel to that, it is a vacation week for many of us, including me and Mark. So we are going to air a two-part interview that I conducted recently with my friends Josh Brown, also known as Downtown Josh Brown, and Michael Batnick. Now, for some of you, you may have heard of them. They host a podcast called The Compound and Friends. It's a great deeper dive into investing, the kind of stuff actually that we don't go into so much on this program. I first met them back in March of 2023 when they invited me onto their program to help promote my book, The Great Money Reset. And we kind of fell in love with each other and developed a really cool relationship where now I am actually producing video for them on their YouTube channel, and my show is called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. But we thought it would be fun for today and for Thursday to present this interview with Downtown Josh Brown and Michael Batnick. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here goes part one. So for fun, I just thought, wouldn't it be funny to go back and listen to the episode, which was March 18th of 2020. Okay. So don't feel like this is anything.
The bottom. That's the bottom.
The start of that's the beginning.
No, it's the bottom of the market.
It's the bottom of the market.
Bottom of March 23rd.
March 23rd but it was also, it was a meaningful moment because the world was on fire and it was scary and there was a lot of unknown,
totally agree.
Right? And
wait, before you tell us what we said, where was this? Was this one of your thoughts, or was this?
This is an episode that was from your home in Long Island.
Okay.
So was it
definitely.
So it was you were at home. Okay. It wasn't like the numbered episodes yet because I went to the pilot episode. This is old
like
school.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So I hope
like
that
when we just figured out how to do.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't know how to do the show.
And were we
remotely.
telling everyone that it'll be okay? Ish.
First of all, I want to compare you as the much better messaging units than, say, Jamie Dimon, who I agree with you, Michael, was ridiculous and negative and stupid. That was so unnecessary. What you said, a couple of things. Opportunities exist, that everything's going to come back. We are amid a financial and health crisis. These are direct quotes. I know this is an interesting time, and I wrote down positivity, and I underlined it because you guys both had a way of, in the middle of a storm that felt unknown and frightening, you had a way to say to people, okay, this is really weird. It's awful. We don't know what comes next. It's going to be okay. So my real question is, what made you so sure of that?
So sure of that. Well,
or able to say that.
I think one of the reasons why I think hopefully some of those quotes are mine, is I was on the phone with clients all day. I'm not a financial advisor. These are not my relationships, but sometimes the clients need to hear from the investment person. And I was given this speech a lot, and it was definitely not a don't worry speech. It was listen, we're all worried. I'm scared too. I think one of the, I hate to say luxury, it's a bad term for this, but one of the things about that particular financial crisis is that the health crisis superseded it. People were dying. And so there was much more fear about your family, your loved ones. Am I going to be okay? And so the second part of this, where did the conviction come from that we were going to come back? We've read a lot of market history, and this is what the market does. There have been panics in the past. And I think one of the things that we were saying, at least I was saying to clients, is listen, I don't know how this ends. I don't know when it ends. I don't know what it's going to look like from a year from now. But our job is to get you through this crisis, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And we did it.
And Josh, do you think it is obviously, you and I have been through other financial crises. Of course, none of us had been through a health crisis like this. From the financial part of it, did it feel familiar to you? Did you feel like this kind of action, that it evoked something in you?
I had 100+ clients on 9/11, and I was on the phone with them from a cell phone from New York City. So I had experience with catastrophic. The market didn't open for, I think, 9 days. And I would be talking to clients about the efforts to reopen stocks. Literally, this was what we were discussing. So in the pandemic, there were a couple of things I was keying off on, and Michael might remember this or might not, but I was also giving daily meetings to the entire staff of the firm. The first thing is the stock market had functioned perfectly. So did the bond market. Everything was running. This is the real miracle. The biggest companies on earth involved in trading and market making and bank clearing firms and custody firms and traditional banks sent all their employees home and nothing broke.
Mm-hmm.
We now look back at that as like it's a given. But if I had told you in 2019, the Fortune 500 would dismiss all of their in-person employees and there won't be a single hiccup in financial markets, and that's literally what happened. And that's what separated it from 9/11. So that gave me a lot of hope. Even if people were selling with two hands, that's okay. There was a buyer there to take those stocks off their hands, and the market didn't break. It truly is miraculous in hindsight when you think of it that way. So I leaned into that. Two, and maybe more important, to Michael's point, clients didn't really want to talk about the market. They wanted to tell us their stories about, oh, so-and-so, my sister-in-law was stuck in an airport and now she can't get back to America. Or I was supposed to be on a cruise ship next week and, I need to get a refund. That's the stuff they wanted to talk about. Everyone wanted to tell their COVID story. Costco is sold out of toilet paper. One thing after another.
Yep.
Okay. I think how weird the situation was, in a weird way, was beneficial because it took people's minds off the more mundane, kind of prosaic aspects of like the stock market for a minute.
Right, until they lost their jobs and they were like applying for unemployment insurance.
So those were the third type of conversations. We happen to have a lot of business owners as clients because we're a wealth management firm. And so there were a lot of conversations about what do we do as a business.
Yeah.
Okay. Because those were the more important conversations, there wasn't enough time to have a panic conversation because, to Michael's point, the market was bottoming it relatively quickly.
Yeah.
So had there not been as much stimulus as there was, and we had a 6-month bear market instead of a 12-day bear market, things might have turned out differently.
So I'm wondering I look at that period, I look back in time because that was when we went to a daily podcast and we've continued to do a daily podcast because everything was changing so quickly. It is also interesting how human nature can just, gloss over where you've come from. I have never felt like in my career, the strangest period of the last, if I look at the last 5 years, let's say, I don't feel like I've ever gone through anything like this where people have this delusional belief in what they have just gone through and where we are. So I know you guys have talked about that Wall Street Journal article, which was people basically think that inflation is still rising, that markets haven't gone up, their portfolios haven't done better, and they have no ability to go back. Maybe because what we really need is more very worried Jewish people who always go back to the worst possible points, revisit
Come to
that.
my town.
Yeah, exactly. We want to revisit that. But I do think it's fascinating to me that 4 years ago, we were worried about people dying and the markets were going crazy. 4 years later, we're like, it sucks that gas costs more money and what? That prices went up more than I expected.
Yeah.
I don't know what the alternative would have been. I think the alternative would have been that if the Fed had acted more appropriately and quicker, that inflation would not have spiked as much, but global inflation spiked.
Well, look, the supply chain thing gave way to something worse. If it were just a transitory thing related to the ports not being open and then it had passed, it would have been different. But that's not what happened. We had stimulus plans from 2 presidents.
But other countries did not have those same stimulus plans, and they still have inflation.
That's my point. Yeah. Biden came into office in January of 21, a full year after the pandemic had started, and almost 9 full months after the Fed and Treasury had enacted the biggest concerted effort in history to reliquefy everyone.
Here, fire, have some gasoline.
Yeah, Biden said, let's also do a $1.3 trillion infrastructure bill. And by the way, the Fed kept buying mortgages, fueling a home price bubble. And the stimulus just kept going long after the point it was needed. And a lot of it was for political reasons. And so, if people want to complain about that, they certainly are entitled to. But my answer to your question is talk to different people, because I get all the arguments about everything that's bad. But the reality is, if you have a college degree, the unemployment rate for you is sub 1.5%. Never in your whole life have you been in a job market like this? And you may never be in one again. If you're not happy now, I don't know what it's going to take to make you happy.
And to be clear, that financial markets have come roaring back, and people have just got an awesome lesson in why you don't try to pick tops and bottoms.
Oh, yeah.
And to some extent, I think that there's just this pervasive. So I'm getting back to my theme of have a more positive outlook, but there does seem to be a more pessimistic view of the universe that is expressing through social media that does take hold of younger generations. I'm the older one. I'm the elder in this room. So
it's bigger than
amazing.
It's bigger than financial markets.
Yeah.
It's political unrest. It's general anxiety. It's social media. Inflation is a big part of it. And it doesn't matter that the rate of price changes is lower now than it was. It doesn't matter. Prices are up 30% since 2019, and some are up a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not quite 30. But yes, if you look at the data, you could say, listen, real wage gains are good. The stock market's good. Your net worth is good. But sometimes the data doesn't reflect how people feel. And I think I understand why people feel how they feel right now.
It's like that story. It's like everyone says, lawyers are the worst. CPAs are the worst. But mine's great. My doctor's great, but all doctors, they're terrible.
There's a lot of
They hate everybody.
They hate Congress, but my
guy's
gal
good.
is okay.
There's a lot of the world's going to hell, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah. But I think that there's something that is there's something that is in this period of time that's fascinating, because if there isn't an appreciation for where it is, where the markets are today, or where the job market is, what happens in the next recession, the bad one?
I have maybe a different view on this. I think that those people that are not happy sort of want us to take the medicine. And I don't think they want to lose their jobs. I think it's a lot of delusion, but they think that we need a reset and we need a recession to clear out they're not happy about the deficit. They're not happy about a lot of things. And so I think in a sick way, there would be a cohort in this country that would be happier if things weren't as prosperous as they are right now.
And they tend to be the most extremely online people. And it's magnifying. There aren't that many of those people. You just think they are because those are the people that never shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with Michael. There's a nihilism about just the stock market recovery, the economic recovery. People don't even feel like money is real anymore. They're using it to gamble. Yeah,
the idea that there is inequality that exists is fascinating. I just interviewed this woman named Teresa Ghilarducci, which I just like saying her name. She's an economist, and she's done a lot of studying about retirement. And one of the things that she finds is that there's really kind of a two-tier retirement system. I think that we, as sort of a compound and associated podcast, we tend to talk to the tier of people who are thinking about retirement, who have money, have jobs, can put money away, and we're doing that. But there is something to be said that there are these other people who are having an incredibly difficult time, and maybe the pension plan that they would have had in another generation doesn't exist. Maybe they didn't put away enough money. Maybe they're being told, this is the part that I find very annoying when you have a politician who says, you know what we should do? We should make the retirement age for Social Security 78. Well, are you doing a physical job, lawmaker? I don't think you are.
Yeah. So they got the biggest COLA, I think, in history, or at least since the 1970s last year.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that's the answer. I'm saying there is some benefit for the people who are about to retire that are not working in office jobs and are doing something physical. The benefit of this environment that we're in is that those people have never been more in demand.
Yep.
Companies can't hire them fast enough, can't stop giving them raises, and can't stop worrying about losing them.
Okay, we'll have the second part of the interview later in the week. If we have stirred up any questions during this interview, or just things that you're thinking about in your own financial life, in your real life, do not hesitate to give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will get your note. If you'd like to join us live, be sure to check the box. Mark will do everything else. You'll see all of our content. It lives there on the website. Mark Talercio is our co-host and executive producer and king of all things web. We are distributed by Paramount Global. We drop our episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.
podcasts.